for inviting us. And to Tonga, Chufwembe, and Pumulani, thank you very much for inviting us. Now, before we talk about how to anchor ship, I would like to give a few gifts on behalf of Jacob. No order of importance. Stephen Louise? Any Stephen Louise in the house?
Leslie.
Steve and Leslie, so we'll have to rewrite that.
And you're blaming me for getting it wrong.
I'm blaming you, because you wrote in this book. Steve and Leslie. So just keep the book, we'll rewrite the name. Or we'll just do another book and write the proper name. For being good neighbors. Because the Bible says, better a friend nearby than a brother far away. That is the second book that I wrote. It's entitled In Retrospect. Now I hope I'll get this one right. Jim and Barbara? Is it Jim and Barbara? Okay. That's the fourth book that I wrote. That book, Jacob wrote the back page, entitled The Architect.
Oh, I did right.
Yeah. Right.
Put my glasses on.
Oh yeah, you better put your glasses on.
Lovely, thank you.
Okay, because God makes our lives together for a purpose. He doesn't put us in a place for no reason. And this is the third book that I wrote. It's entitled Secrets Unveiled. Is there any couple that is madly in love and about to get married? Not madly in love, we're all madly in love. I would probably give this book back to myself for loving my husband, but anyone who is madly in love and about to get married. Stand quickly. Oh. Did I see another hand? A couple madly enough about to get married, like the lady will confirm that he's asked me to marry him. Has he asked you? Okay.
Did you say yes?
Any other couple? You know, ladies, we dream. We dream that he's about to ask us, but has he asked? Is there any other couple? The lady, the guy has asked you? Is that Charity? Has he asked you? No. Okay, we'll write a guide to guys how to ask ladies. Please come and get your time. This book, Secrets Unveiled, is for couples in love, and they get married. Okay, God bless you. God bless you. You need to get to Jacob before the end of the dinner so that he signs the book for you. Yeah. Jacob invited us, my husband and I. My husband is the one that gave the opening prayer, whose name John mispronounced. Despite Uganda being so close to Zambia. I was asked to talk about anchoring ship. And I'm so glad that Caroline already did a bit of the intro for me. Thank you very much. I've known Jacob from roughly 2003, thereabout. And it's very interesting because Jacob went to school, to nursing school, with my husband's sister. And when I met my husband, I didn't know that the sister knew Jacob, so he indirectly knew Jacob. So I thought they were becoming friends like later through me. You know, ladies, it has to be through you. Yeah, but from 2003, I'm a police officer by profession. If you saw a police lady there in the picture, that's me years ago. And that's how I knew Jacob. We used to do community policing work that is, we call it police and you in Zambia. And Jacob was one of the police and you. So, you know, I was the police, he was the you. And the little shop that Pumulani talked about, was it Taonga who talked about that the dad owned a little shop and then he had to sell his phone. I remember as well, as police officers would go there and then he'd give us free drinks and would wonder like, how will you make your money, you know? It was along the main road of the little town Kalulushi. And since then, one thing that I noticed about Jacob is he loves to be a big brother, you know? Like, he will not ask your permission to be your big brother. In that good sense. So if Jacob knows that you need something, and as long as you make the mistake of making him know that you need that thing, he will get the thing for you. So he will send us Walker's biscuits, just because maybe one day I say, oh, I wish I could eat, you know, some Walkers. They'll be in the post. And so I changed careers from home affairs, being a police officer, to foreign affairs in the foreign mission, and he sends books on diplomacy. So that's Jacob, there's no getting away from him. And Jacob, at least for my husband and I, my husband Sulanji and I, we call him like the family consultant. And if you listened, Uncle was saying, you're the head of the family. Jacob gets very upset when you make a decision and you don't consult him. He does, eh? Like, why didn't you tell me? You know, I could have given you some valuable advice, or... That is Jacob. Very, very interesting to have someone that you can lean on, someone that you can depend on, somebody that will answer your WhatsApp message. It's very good to have somebody like that. And somebody that has neighbors. I've never lived in the UK, but I've heard that you can actually not know your neighbor. Yeah. So he knows his neighbors, and the neighbors know him. That is a good sign of a big brother. Somebody that brings people together. Not just for bringing people together, but for a reason. You can't be on a ship, you can't be on a long journey alone. It can be quite boring, maybe fun in the beginning, but in the end it can be quite boring. When you're on a big ship, you're on a journey, you're headed somewhere, you need people with you. And you need people that matter, people that care for you, people that will sacrifice for you, and people that you will sacrifice for. The poet had 800 poems? Yeah, I have about same number of pages, so just relax. One thing that I've also learned from Jacob, which in the beginning, when we were working, we'd travel from the police headquarters in Lusaka, the capital city of Zambia, to Kalulushi, which is, I don't know if I would say, is it 5 hours drive? Approximately 5 hours drive from Lusaka. You go to Kalulushi and you work with people that are willing to work with the police. The police do their work really much more through the community than through all this, you know, radio and the CCTV and stuff like that. You need people in the community that live with the community that will tell the police this is what is going on. And people that will decide to be a part of the police service and community security. And Jacob was one of those. I remember in those days working with him and working with a number of other people, that when you come from Kalulushi or from the Copper Belt, Mufulira and the other bits of the Copper Belt, as a man, what is the career that your parents expect you to pick?
Miner.
A miner. You must do mining engineering or metallurgy or something like that. And then Jacob decides to be a male nurse. So people will look at you and say, but what are you doing? You're on the Copper Belt. I mean, if you want to be Caroline's friend and make money, do mining. But Jacob decides, no, I'll be a male nurse. He decides to do something different, to follow his dream, and to follow something that he believes this is what will make a change to society. this is what will bring that positive thinking or the positive change that I would like to see. And he didn't fear failure. I believe there are many people that wouldn't want to share, at least a few people that wouldn't want to share the story of their falling in love or getting married, because maybe the person that you married is like number 4 that finally said yes. Truth. But Jacob wasn't afraid to fall in love with Gladys and to let her know. And she said yes. So if you don't fear failure and you go out to do a new thing and follow your passion, then you'll make it. And that is what nowadays we call black box thinking. Not just doing things like every day, but you go into a new sphere. We're told again, move out of your comfort zone. You go into a new sphere and you face a challenge. You're willing to face the failure. And you say, oh, if this hasn't worked, how can I make it better? And so black box thinking is not just for thinkers. It's not just for pilots or for home care. Black box thinking is for each one of us that would like to enjoy our life and to have a life well lived. And black box thinking is also about opportunity. Taking a hold of the opportunity that is presented before you and going through that door. It doesn't mean that if you take on a new challenge that where you were before was not good enough for you, but it's because God's world is so huge. And the only way that you can appreciate it is to move from where you are to another place. And many times I know that first of all, Africa is a continent, so we come from countries. Usually when people say, I come from Africa, I don't come from Africa, I come from Zambia, and I work in Kenya. You know, so normally we have this thing of, you've come from Zambia or from Kenya or from Malawi or wherever, you go to another country because your country is not good enough. I don't think so. What about when the others move from what is wrongly called the developed world into what is wrongly called the not developed, the underdeveloped? Where are they going there? Are they not running away from winter, going to our summer? But we congratulate that move, and then we almost feel sorry for our countrymen and women when they move from home to come to another place. But it's all about opportunity. You could have been born wherever you could have been born, but your dream will be fulfilled in another country. And all the time, for those that have relocated, sometimes you tend to shrink back and you don't even achieve half the things that God has wanted you to achieve when He told you to move. Because you're looking down on yourself and saying, I'm an African. No, you're a brave person who has taken the opportunity. Just like the missionaries who took the trouble, they took the risk to move from where they were to go to whichever part God called them to go. You're not any less, you're not any greater. You would just fulfill your purpose if you walk through that door. That is black box thinking. Don't look at your country. Don't look at your color. The soul is the same. The passion, if you follow that passion, you will not regret it. Remember, you're on a ship. You're moving from one destination to the next. And the only way to enjoy that journey is to enjoy every stop. And you forget your color. Don't forget your origin. Don't forget your passion. Don't lose sight of your soul. So the other day, I asked Gladys, I said, what is it that you love the most? I know you love Jacob to bits, but what do you love? What are like 3 things that you love so much about him, that you admire about Jacob? So she wrote back to me saying, he's hardworking, he's a goal setter, and he's a go-getter. He doesn't get easily discouraged. That's what she said. Then she went on to say how they have adjusted well in England, and she said she moved in 2004, and he joined her 2 years later, 2006. That again, it's like it was done in the opposite. You know, normally the husband would go out and get the place ready and call the wife. But they did it the opposite, and it has worked well. So it doesn't always have to be what is traditionally done. And Jacob was saying how he had to look after the kids. You know, Pumulani was like 2 years old. And you know, if your wife goes away and leaves you with 3 children, the last one being 2 years old, just tell us the truth. Simple. Why she moved from home to go to England, tell us the truth. And 2 years later, you're still saying, oh, no, I'm going to, you know, she's still working out the ticket. Like, who's the head of the home? But that is also about opportunity. When you see life as a partnership, and you only follow the right traditions, because tradition is good. Tradition lifts us. But whichever tradition, from whichever country, there's always the good side and the poor side. Pick what works for you. I'm talking about anchoring ship. And so far, we're talking about a journey, the ship that is moving on, you know, you're sailing. But every ship has got to dock. Every ship must come to a point where it anchors. In fact, every ship must have an anchor. And if your life, you consider yourself as a ship, you must have an anchor. You must have that thing that you lean on, that when you need to put to rest, that is the stone that will keep you grounded. Only you can search yourself to know if you have an anchor before you dock, because you must dock. I know that Jacob and Gladys, they have their anchor in the Lord Jesus Christ. There's a hymn that Jacob likes, and one day I just asked him, I sent him a message, I said, Jacob, do you know the song, We Have an Anchor That Keeps the Soul? And he wrote, he said, that's one of my favorite hymns. The hymn says, will your anchor hold in the storms of life? Will your anchor hold? It's supposed that you already have an anchor. I think it says, when the storms unfold their winds of strife, will you anchor safe to the heavenly shore? Will you anchor safe and firmly remain? And it says, we have an anchor that keeps the soul, steadfast and sure, though the billows blow. Fastened to the rock that cannot move, the rock, Jesus Christ. Grounded firm and deep in the Savior's love. And it's my prayer that each one of us that Jacob has brought here, there's nobody who's here by chance. I don't believe that chance exists. Nothing happens by chance. When we were coming here, was it Nairobi, Amsterdam? So we took our seat, and then my husband sees the guy in front and says, hey, that's the guy I was with from Nairobi to Lusaka just 2 weeks ago. And he says, we sat together in the same seat for the whole 2.5 hours. So he taps the guy on the shoulder and says, hi. The guy looks back and says, hey, I think this time we need to exchange numbers. We just can't be meeting on the flight like this, you know? So they exchange numbers, and that's the way it is. You may meet somebody who lives in Jamaica, they may irritate you, at airports. And then the flight is delayed. And then you have to sit next to this person for hours, and all you keep saying is, man, this airline business. But you could turn the conversation around and just ask, how's your family? And how are you doing? And you create a great friendship. Because nothing happens by chance. None of us meet each other by chance. But it's up to us how we make the most of that opportunity. So my prayer is this, that in life, as much as life is routine, I pray that we never lose sight of the sense of curiosity. Life is routine. You wake up, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6, 7, I don't know, whatever shift you're doing. But I pray that we never lose the sense of curiosity and adventure. That we always ask the question, why? Children, they always say, Mommy, when are we having dessert? At 4. Why at 4? Because at 3:30 we'll have lunch. Why are we having lunch at 3:30? because you're taking a bath at 2. Why am I bathing at